What's going on, everybody? How you doing and welcome. My name is Lord PeteyTV. We are here to talk about our, say, week 0 of season 3. Now, I normally do prep videos and things like that. I was unable to do it this year, or I should say this season. I've been very sick, as you can tell. I slept not well. My family's been sick. It's been a catastrophe. But I wanted to make sure at least I give you all a little bit of a week 1 what to do and a quick breakdown of some of the things that have been changed or information that I've seen. I'm hoping that all this information is still up to par and correct, because, like I said, it has just been crazy. I wrote all these notes down over like maybe like 3 or 4 days ago. But let's make sure we jump into it and we'll talk about it. So during this first week of season 3, they're going to be changing the delves, which are going to, end up giving you your loot and so on and so forth from there. You're going to also be able to run Mythic 0 dungeons. So if you're looking to understand the dungeons or go through that process, Mythic Zeros are going to be dropping gear that you can end up picking up and getting yourself ready for, the next week being, your Mythic 2s, I should say. I would say that it's a great stepping stone if you're bringing in a character that has holes in their gear, that is not running tier, and so on and so forth. It's a good way to actually go in there and get some gear that you can upgrade. It's the same thing with the delves. Once you go in there, you grind your delves, you're going to start being able to smack up delves at level 8. You'll start getting your gear and stuff just like before. So just make sure you're thinking of that when you're going into it. Now, if you're questioning some of the gear you're getting, sim it if you're a DPS. For tanks, it's usually item level is best, and the healers is pretty much the same thing because you want more raw stats to go through. So just something to think of while you're going through that process. Now, the other things is a quick TLDR informational that I've seen. I'm hoping that all this information is correct, and I will give you the part 2 of it after the season launches and we get the full updates and notes. And then I will give you a part 3, which is going to be in a week or 2, to give you the information of what's happening there. So let's go in there. Let's talk about it. Let's see what is going on. First thing we're going to talk about is that there are going to be some buffs and some nerfs that have been happening going through the system. And there's also been some heals for... Alright, so let's do it this way. There have been healer reworks, I guess you could say. Holy is getting a buff for multiple different things. And Beacon of Virtue is now going to be 40 yards instead of 30. Mistweaver is having its healing reduced by 5%. And then Elemental Shaman, their DPS is actually decreasing. Actually, I'm sorry, increased, not decreased. My bad. Discipline, they are going to be nerfing Discipline in multiple different factors. They are going to be They are going to reduce the renew mana cost, and the mana cost for Power Word Radiance. But the Power Word Shield is going to be 3% per stack, not 5%. And then Void Weaver and Tropic Rift damage has been increased by 30%. So generally, healers, they're being reworked and they're being checked on. Now, if you're talking about reworks and things that are being checked on, just like Dark Ranger. Dark Ranger is also being reworked and checked on because it wasn't working as strong as they were hoping it to be. So that's something that they are working into. There is going to be increases in all Mythic Pluses. They're going to be about 10% more increased health for the mobs, which means they're going to be up longer, which means damage is going to matter. Now, there's going to be a couple of buffs and nerfs, things that I'm just going to generally, like I said, talk about. Druid balance buff has got 8% buff. Windwalker got a 5%. Monk raid buff is still a 5%. They were talking about it being 8, but they nerfed it back down. There's lots of different general changes and updates that have happened with this patch, and those are totally and completely including, all of those things we're talking about. Lots of sets or set bonuses. There's going to be, like, for instance, Frost got a damage reduction. Unholy, they're they have a little bit of an increased damage. Druids, they're getting the stuff that's buffed from Guardian and from Balance. I mean, there's so many changes right now. Flame Shaper is getting nerfed a little bit. Devastation is getting buffed a little bit and nerfed. So let's see here. Dark Rangers, something being changed. Marksman, all damage is being dealt is going to be reduced by 10% now, and all damage from BM is being reduced by 3%, which I still don't understand because they're still not as strong. Mages, Frost is getting buffed. Arcane is getting a little bit of a buff, and Fire is getting a little bit of a buff. Frost is actually getting a big buff. It's actually getting 10%. Monks, we already talked about. Pallies, we talked about that. They're trying to make it so they are stronger while tanking, and they are also made them stronger for ret, which I still don't understand why. They already hit like a truck. Why? Whatever. Priests we kind of already went over. They're getting buffed for DPS and things like that. Assassination Rogue is getting a buff and an AoE reduction. Outlaw Rogue is getting a flat 10% buff, and a Blade Flurry is going to be going down. And then Subtlety is getting an 11% increase buff. Shamans are getting a little bit of a nerf. Warlocks are getting buffed on all fronts in all sorts of different ways. Warrior, Blade Flurry is getting increased for arms, and for Fury, Blade Storm, Whirlwind, single target damage, and all that is going up. They're really working on that stuff there. Not too bad. There is going to be a verse crit neck that's being added to Priory, a mastery verse neck which is being added to Floodgate. Now they've almost like they've buffed and nerfed the cloak to a point where all of them is still going to be necessary, but you really need to make a note of that because you're going to be wearing it pretty much the whole entire time. Sparks are going to be more easily acquired, so it's going to also give it a little easier for you to be able to track. The other thing is that there's a couple of changes in Tazavesh, just so people know. In Streets, the count is going to be a little bit less. There's also the Frenzied Night Claws are going to have their rip reduced. The custom security is damage reduced. The Cartel Muscle is cast time is being increased. There's going to be buffs to some of the other characters in there. So Zoloff, I guess, and then Sozam are being both buffed. Merkbrime, Scalebinder, Fish Sticks now drop instantly. They were a 4-second cast. Fish Stick health is reduced to 10%. Duration increased to 40 seconds, was 30 seconds. Fish Sticks now has a 5-second cast time before starting the channel. Mobs now increase size by 30% to better indicate which mobs are affected. Fish Sticks suck. You need to prioritize them no matter what. And then Hybrim, Purify Burst, damage reduced, cast time increased. So generally, there's not that much that I can bring in here to talk to you about. And there's bank changes. Bank changes are happening. I mean, I wouldn't be too worried about that stuff. Everything's going to work out. Void storage is going away. Regents banks are going away. Things like that. They're going to consolidate and do other things. So it's not that bad. So yeah, that's just the general stuff. Just a quick TLDR. Like I said, I will be doing a bigger one later on after the fact and after everything is good and done. It's going to take me a little bit, but I will make sure I have it for everybody. All right. And as always, I appreciate everybody for coming in, checking out our videos. We're going to be putting out videos every single day for people. Not every single day, but every single week. I usually have a couple out every single couple of days. If you are looking for something fun to watch or anything like that, I greatly appreciate it. I love you all. Dream big, keep gaming. Have a fantastic rest of your week. I love you all and see you all soon. Thank you. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.